Does anybody have any questions right now about collaborations and anything interesting that they're specifically interested about? All right. I'm gonna get started. I'm mostly I don't think some of you have come to this session before, so I will go through my bio and everything. I mostly sit in Instagram, and this is not a Instagram only workshop. This is a find what's best for you workshop. I do go to Facebook a little bit because there are some groups there, but whatever I'm talking about with my examples with Instagram and Facebook, it can be implemented in a little bit of a different way for TikTok or whatever, whatever you really like. I haven't touched Threads because I don't care. And Andrea actually manages my TikTok because TikTok hurts my head. But she does really, really great there. And we actually do the same posts, but just in a little bit of a different way. So there is a really good cross-pollination that you can do. I absolutely do not use Twitter. I never have. No reason. It wasn't what I was drawn to. So I'm really encouraging anybody to find the right platform for them, and we can try to figure out how to incorporate what I've learned about Instagram and Facebook and turn it into the strategy for your platforms. I am Kara Zone. I know that some people are sick of hearing me do my bio, but thank you for staying and listening. I actually was a best-selling ghostwriter since 2019. I started to do my own stuff in 2023. My first novel came out this year, January 21st, 2025. I have since published two novellas, and I also just published book two on June 24th of this year, last month. My sales are what we expect sales to be when you're a new indie author. However, I did start doing collaborations strictly through the internet and social media. So mine, again, really kind of sit in Instagram because that's where I engage with the most people. However, there are a lot of really great groups that I know of in Facebook as well. So I will be hopping from place to place. Recently, I did do a Stuff Your Kindle event, and my book was free. But it did get down to number two. I had pictures. I was going to put it on here. I did it. It got down to number two. The second day of the Stuff Your Kindle event, it was 5 days long. In fantasy dark, fantasy horror, and then number three in romantic fantasy. It got downloaded 5,000 times in 3 days. And I had over 10,000 page reads in the 5 days completed. It's awesome. Full disclosure, I made very little money off of it because it was the free Kindle thing. Oh, and then my book made it onto the top 100 list, and it topped off at number 66 in the Kindle store for the free. So all of those came from this collaboration that I did with this amazing group called Indie Author Central. They have Stuff Your Kindle events that get massive amounts of traction. This last one I did with them, where I hit the bestseller list on a few different ways, we had 145 authors a part of it. So it really, really was a powerful tool. All of their stuff is powerful. I have their links in here. I am not affiliated with them at all, except I join these groups, and I'm just sorry, I'm making sure nobody else popped in. So except for the fact that I, got downloads this time. I did do a previous Stuff Your Kindle event, and I didn't understand how to work KU. I didn't understand how to work Kindle Unlimited at that time. So my book was $2.99 for that event. I sold 10 books. So it really is sort of a pricing thing. However, I'm still going to play with the 99 cents. I still get a lot of traction. My Instagram account right now is at 56,000 views in the last 30 days. So all of this collaborations and engagement is really, really paying off. And that's why I'd like to um, share this with you. For those of you who don't know, when I started, uh, doing I again, I was a ghostwriter from 2019 to 2023. I helped people work through their indie stuff, and I saw what they were was learning lessons from their mistakes, and they all quit, and they refused to do a social media platform. They refused to do marketing. So that's really when I stepped into this field, and I realized that I needed to have a platform. I hadn't been online since 2020, or excuse me, since 2010. um I separated from my husband. I had two young kids. I was going to school full time and working full time. I had a house that was mine, and everything like that. So I had no idea how much the Instagram really wasn't even a thing the last time I was on social media. But it really did sort of speak to me the most because of the way it's laid out and everything. I did take a master class on Instagram because it was really where I felt most comfortable. The only reason it wasn't geared towards indie publishing, so that's why I'm taking those disciplines and everything and putting it towards indie publishing. Her she did a general overview of how to sell things on Instagram. She's fantastic. Anybody who wants her name, I will let you know. Again, I'm not affiliated with anybody I'm talking about in this workshop. But she's super sweet. She's Dutch, and she's been doing it since like 2015. She makes six figures. It's fantastic. But I'm an indie publisher. I wanted to know how to do it for me. So I started doing indie publishing. I just looked back at my history, and my first post was July 1st, 2024. So it's all officially been a year where I really started hitting it hard. Um, so I had already said this. My goal for you with this series is that I don't want you to do it like me. Yes, what works for me, it works for me. It might not exactly work for you. Your audience might be different. Your demographic might be different. You have a different voice. You have a different brand. So I'm always going to encourage you to try new things and test it out for maybe about 30 days. Um, I like to do 2 months, but some people, the experts say 30 days is good. Um, also, so you kind of got to play with that just to see if it works for you. Let me see. I want you to gain insights on how to use the tools I share and create your visibility campaign the way that you want to do it. I post 5 days a week. I am a little overwhelmed at this point because of my engagement and everything with Instagram. And yesterday I got invited to do like 5 collaborative posts and plus post my stuff. And that's cool. And I don't want it to stop, but I can't take on all of those things because I still have to do it myself. So I'm still trying to maneuver my way around the new attention that my Instagram is getting. I have 7 followers on my Facebook account that is for my writing account. So that one is easier to maintain. Today I got invited to do 3 or 4 different collaborations. So it does work. It's just figuring out for me how to manage everything. So I did already say this, my suggestions, find the social media platform that works for you. Andrea, I think you really like TikTok. It speaks really well for you. She did a workshop on TikTok. If anybody's interested in watching it, I will be sending those links out in the assets email later this week. And so today we're going to talk about collabs and cross promotion. And the one thing that's really, really cool about collaborations is you get to hit all the other people's accounts that you may not have that audience to. And most of the time, you don't have to put any money into it. So people are continually finding out about your account, your brand, your vibe, and different things like that. Cross promotion is basically like a newsletter swap. So somebody could be like, hey, I want to do an author swap. Hey, you want to do, this. I'll show you in a little bit, but I did a post where this one author reached out to me and I said, hey, my book 2 is coming out on the 24th. And she was like, hey, mine is coming out on the June 7th. Or June 14th or something. It was like a week apart. And I was like, hey, let's do this together. So we ended up getting all of the authors who were getting ready to publish within the next month. And we did something together. So that's kind of cross promotional. Also, it's kind of like getting into your things and figuring out who your audience is, but still reaching another one. I don't know if anybody knows who Heather Leeson is. She is through Inker's Mastermind. She was a part of it. She writes male romantic, contemporary romance. I write new adult dark fantasy. Those audiences usually don't cross over. Did somebody say something? I'm sorry. Am I sharing? Okay. But we were helping each other out, lifting each other up, which is actually just as cool as getting a lot of followers, because you find a really supportive group of people when you learn how to engage with them genuinely and authentically. So sorry for the vanilla ice. I saw it. I had to use it. I love the song, even though I don't like him at all. So a collaboration or a collab on social media is where 2 or more individuals, brands, or creators work together to create, share content that benefits both parties by combining their audiences, expertise, and resources. Randomly, I started speaking with just a few women on who are also writers or interested in writing, and they're authors. And at the beginning of my journey, like in July, and by September, I was in this group, this writers group. They're amazing, and there were all of these same people who started their Instagram around July. They were all moderately in my demographic. There was like a 10-year age difference between all of the women that were in there. One man actually ended up coming in before, so there's a joke about him being the only man in there. And but it's really interesting to see all their journeys. And from that relationship, I actually formed from that group, I actually formed individual relationships with a lot of these women and the man, and which the man actually led me to all of these other groups, which is really interesting, and how it brands off. But there is a woman named Christine Drummond. She is actually an newly agented publisher. She decided to go through traditional publishing first. So she does have a really good agent. She reached out to me one day and she's like, well, you do indie and I do trad, and let's do this live together once a month. So we started doing that. And we talk about like traditional publishing and what the wrenches are, and indie publishing and what the wrenches are. This month, we're going to be having Rachel Giffen. She's an influencer on Instagram. She's got 40,000 followers. She's one of the best people I've met on Instagram. And she's just super cool. So she's going to be talking about that with us. And then I don't know if you guys know who Linnie Mack is, but Linnie Mack is also a traditionally published romance author. She will be coming on with us in August because it is already July. So it's really, really cool, the connections that you can find I will always suggest to really engage with people. And sometimes you will have to do the engagement first for it to roll over. It took me about a month and a half to really get in my groove and engagement with people. But once that happened, things really started to snowball. I kind of already said this, but why should we collaborate? The aim is to increase your visibility, spark engagement, expand reach for all the collaborators involved. The 145 author Stuff Your Kindle event technically wasn't a collaboration. However, we all got thrown into a group chat, and from that, we actually did collaborative posts, and some of those posts were genre specific, some of those posts were generalized, and some really cool things came out of it. But by pooling their followers, they can expand their network, engage with new audiences, and create more authentic cross-promotional content that resonates with their shared community. I didn't write that, but I forgot to credit it, so I'll put that credit in there because that's a lot of words. I wouldn't have written it like that. Um, so there are types of collaborations, the cross-promotional ones, like I talked about, like we were all launching in the same month. Giveaways, those are very specific. You can do giveaways on your own, of course, but doing them with more authors gets a really wide audience. I have this other wonderful woman who does a faceless account, who is awesome, and she also came on and did a speech with us, or explained how to be a faceless account. She and these other handful of women wanted to get together and do like this massive giveaway. So I was a part of a giveaway where there were 100 authors, and they it was an insane turnout. But so there's 100 books, 100+ books, print copies, and it was not an international thing because that is a little bit expensive right now. But we got so much reach and so much value out of that was something that was super cool. I'm going to sort of walk you through how to do a giveaway. I've done them personally. The first one I didn't even have 500 followers. It was for my 500 followers, and 3 people or 4 people actually signed up, but those were the people that I actually engaged with, so it works. It's different now because the reach is much bigger. Live sessions, like I talked about with my coffee talks with Christine, you can collaborate on those for live sessions. I have a little bit of an example for you, but if you have any questions about doing lives, it's awkward at first, at least for me. And then it's the more you do it, the easier it gets. And then there will also be guest posts and blog swaps, which is like a newsletter swap. I do an author spotlight every Monday called Meet the Author. If anybody is interested in doing that, I do it on my TikTok. Well, Andrea does it on TikTok for me. Instagram, I do a newsletter, and I do my blog posts. So I have a form if anybody is interested in doing that. You can totally shout it out, or you can send me your email and I'll send you the information. It is first come, first serve, and I am booked until September, but it does usually get a lot of traction because people love seeing authors supporting authors, and readers love supporting authors too. So that's something we can do. So this one that I just did, the Summer Heat Romantasy Slow Burn, is through Indie Authors Central. This is the one where I got 5,000 downloads. So much for doing that. That's the one where I got 5,000 downloads. I hit the bestseller lists low, like, and still shocking. Like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I did get pre-orders from it, so I did make money from it. It's just, I didn't make $5,000 downloads of that. So this is really what a collaborative post, like a regular collaborative post, look like. You can see here that it says that there are only 4 other authors attached, which Instagram does for a reason. You can only have technically 6 people on a collaboration. So what people do is they'll break it up into, if you have 20 people on your collaboration. You can only have, we'll say, 4 posts, 4 posters. So it'll break it up into 4 groups. You can name those groups whatever you want, but usually I see them as A, B, C, D. There's one person who posts, and then they invite all of the other people to collaborate with them. Then they go ahead and tag everybody. So this is kind of what we did here. This is all of my these are all the people that were on this collaboration. This was actually one that I made and I posted. I put everybody, I made a post on Canva and I gave the link to people and they put their own covers on it. So it was like super easy. You give it out to the group. They do, their work. Not everybody remembered to give me their price. Sometimes that happens. You can always ask them to do that. I don't think I had the time that day. So I couldn't do that. But it is always a possibility. I would have preferred to be able to do that. It was just one of those days. Usually people do these things probably about a week in advance. So there's some kind of planning. Most of the authors that I know, they do make their schedule usually about a week in advance. So finding a free time is usually just sort of like courtesy. Sometimes people do it, tomorrow. Sometimes people do it, in 5 hours from now. They'll be like, I want to collab. And if you want to, I would fully suggest it because it gets you into the practice. And if you're comfortable doing that, totally do that. The reason why I had so many collaborations the last like 2 or 3 weeks is really because my book came out and people that review also do collaborations with you, which is an interesting way to reach new readers. You make a caption. This is a caption, and then you give it to everybody in the post so they all have the same exact thing. They change it up a little bit. There's a myth right now going around that if you put too many posts the same, that Instagram will flag it as spam. I haven't experienced that yet. That doesn't mean that it's not true. And then you pick a song if you want to pick a song, and everybody will use that song, and then you start passing this stuff out. So I'm going to show you the next one. I'm going to show you. I recently did it. There's a place called Indie Romantasy Reads, which is an indie romance industry indie romance group that I met online. This is a really, really cool post because it hit so many people, and it doesn't always do this. But I'm going to show you the views. So it's the same thing. Everybody had this. Here are their covers. The frame around it is just like a Kindle because it was all ebooks. Wasn't that many people. There were only 2 posters, and you can see that there are probably 12 people involved. So same thing, stuff your Kindle, blah, blah, blah. The date only was here. And then this post had over 6,000 views. It had, this is really exciting for me, but it had, oh, that's not it. Oh yeah, it had 168 shares. So 168 shares to 168 different accounts. Some of them would have been some of the posters because they also shared it, but that means 168 accounts spread this all over the internet. So it did get a lot of traction. My book, again, my Kindle situation, like got all scrambled and stuff like that. I made sales. This was only 24 hours, but it wasn't as good as some of the other women, and some of the other authors were hitting #1. They were getting 10,000 downloads. They were doing all of that stuff. I'm new to all of this stuff, your Kindle and KU, and I'm still figuring out those rules. So I think that was sort of my, user error, because I'm still figuring things out. The other one is just fun. This is actually the one that don't know why that's not working. That's actually the one where the group of authors got together and we were the ones that were coming out. This one got a lot of traction too. 242 people liked it. And there was like, again, it was really small. There was like 10 of us, but go ahead. No? Okay. Sorry, I thought I heard somebody. So this is literally the same thing. I made a caption. These are all of the authors that are here. These are all of their launch dates. Question of the day is always good because it gives somebody a call to action to like answer stuff. It did get a lot of traction, not as much as the other one, but this was like 14,000 people or 1,400 people saw that. Sorry. 98 comments, 242 likes, and 31 people shared it. But it was sort of like a PSA, right? Like it was a PSA that let people know that this group of women or authors, sorry, were coming out in the next month. And D.W. Brooks, she's contemporary romance. Like I said, Heather Leeson is a male contemporary romance. I am a dark fantasy author. We had another dark fantasy author. So this was and more about supporting each other. And it still spread the word. So those are some of the collaborations. So how do you find potential collaborators? I found them because I was engaging with the group. I was engaging with people who were engaging with my posts. That led myself into getting into a writers group. That writers group sort of branched out. I have people who are in other groups that invited me into other groups. And it really all just came from engaging with people on a consistent basis. If you want to do it once a week, because social media is overwhelming, if you decide to do posts once a week, make sure you do it every week. Make sure you engage with people every week, even not just on your post, but look for the people that you see who are liking your stuff. Look for the people who are commenting on yours. Go to their page and engage with them also. I have some people that will do these really amazing posts and they reach out to me and they're like, but I'm not getting any engagement. And my answer is always, are you engaging with them? And if you're busy, that's fine, because we all get busy sometimes, and it only takes 10 to 15 minutes a day, or 10 to 15 minutes when you're posting to be able to engage with people meaningfully. And it's so worth it. It's really weird to think about where I was a year ago and where I am now. Just to from all of the things that I've gained from social media and all of the information and all of the connections and all of the networking. And that's really where I found my collaborators. Now, if you don't know how to start engaging with people, but you do want to do collaborations, there are collaborative groups in social media. There are collaborative groups in Facebook, in Instagram. Instagram, I think, is a little bit harder to find because honestly, Facebook groups are really just named like Stuff Your Fantasy Facebook group. So it is that title, like you can search it. This is a little bit different. I told you about the man who was in my writing group, and he actually has he's friends with another man named E.M. Peck, who is also an indie author. E.M. is actually the creator of a place called Indie Reads, and Indie Reads is this website. He says it's his answer to combating Amazon, and he's not opposed to Amazon. He just doesn't like the way that Amazon treats indie authors. So he has created this whole atmosphere, this whole website, which I'm going to take you guys to. And really, it's asking people and seeing what other people are saying. And if somebody says, hey, I'm looking for authors to be in a collaborative group, even if you haven't done it before, or even if you don't know who they are, just be like, hey, yeah, I'm interested. kind of just to sort of get your feet wet into it, because once you get in and sort of start to familiarize yourself with it, you'll be able to find the ones that work best for you. In 2023, through the summer of 2024, I was working with a client who is an indie publisher, and I started off as a ghostwriter for her, and I moved into the whole situation, and she was actually open to having me do social media so I could kind of build up my knowledge. So I was working as her pen name, and I was starting my stuff too. And she was cozy mystery, cozy paranormal mystery. Um, and so I found there was one day I was on this group, and there was a witchy mystery situation post that said, looking for people in my engagement group, ask me how. So I did. And I ended up being part of that group. I ended up kind of learning about engagement groups. Um, but unfortunately, that woman shut everything down in summer of 2024. And um, dark fantasy, new adult dark fantasy, is not anything like cozy paranormal mystery. So like I still kept the connection with that woman, but her audience is very different than my audience. And so I didn't stay in that engagement group, even though all of the authors were wonderful. But again, you have to find your audience. I have. So Indie Reads is really, really cool. There's another place, like I said, had 150 or 145 authors in that collab for the Stuff Your Kindle event. And that's through Indie Author Central. So there's all of these really cool pockets in social media that you can find, and just try them. And if it's not for you, that's fine. At least you tried it. But trying is gonna be the best way forward to see if it works for you. So when you so you don't know what to start, you open up your Instagram, account yesterday. And so find authors with different genres. What you can do is you can search um uh, uh dark fantasy. You can search dark fantasy hashtags, and you can start finding people who either like dark fantasy or are I'm not swearing at the Instagram right now. In my head, because I am. So you can look up dark fantasy. It'll pull up all of these people. Maybe these people are authors. Maybe these people are readers. Maybe there's something there or nothing there. So you can look at this person. I'm not following this person, but she had 1,400 people like her stuff, and she's engaging with all of these people. So she's probably somebody that I'd be like, hey, let's be friends. And then I would, you can go through her readers and see, find new readers, maybe that are people that you would like, or who would like your work. This is how I find illustrators. Well, not anymore. I find illustrators through recommendations, because there are scam illustrators that seem like they're not scam illustrators, and all of us have fallen for it at least once. And that's how we learn. But just FYI, it's just easier to get recommendations once you have the sort of like a small knit group. So joining the author communities, I talked about Indie Authors Central. I talked about Indie Reads. You can kind of look up author communities on Instagram. It's much easier to do something like that with Facebook. I don't know how to do that on TikTok. Andrea, do you have an idea?
You just basically search just like on Instagram. But I will say that if you're wanting to do like collaboration posts, you're better off to do it on Instagram, because on TikTok, all you can do is just tag people and it will show up for their followers and it'll come up on a separate section on their profile. But Well, on Instagram, when you do collaboration, it actually shows up on the main feed. There isn't an option for that on TikTok. Now, there are groups of like authors that will go live together and do collaboration during lives, and they'll all be on there together talking to people. You can do stuff like that. That gets a lot of attention because you get everybody's followers seeing you. But as far as collaborative posts, you're more likely to, do that on Instagram. Like I said, TikTok, all you can do is tag, but there's a lot of people that do the lives. That's kind of where they do their collaboration on TikTok.
And it's weird on TikTok, right? Like, because I didn't really know anything about TikTok until Andrea and I started working together. And she's like, you need to be on TikTok. And I did find a lot of ARC readers there. And sometimes people will invite me to go to their Instagram lives. And they're very sweet people, but they're literally not doing anything except talking. And this one woman started braiding her husband's hair, and she was just talking and telling them about her day and all of that stuff. So it's a different beast. It's not a bad beast. It's just different. So that's about as far as I stepped into there. But for Instagram, I wouldn't see people just sitting around talking or singing songs to a certain artist while they clicked around. So it's definitely it's an interesting difference there for sure. Let's see. So I did talk about Indie Author Central. I talked about Indie Reads, engage online with communities. Again, I cannot say that enough. Make sure to engage, participate in discussions, respond to posts, let them know. I'm going to type in Indie Reads so you can see kind of how I had already found them. But this is kind of what you would look for. So they put out this Stuff Your e-reader event, and they did all of this stuff. And this pops up on my feed because I'm friends with them and I talk to them in DM and all of this. But oh, they did that. That's mine right here. But EM Pack talks about this all the time, but he talks about his promotions. He talks about his merch that is coming out and everything. So if you pay attention to those kind of posts, and even if they are sponsored, doesn't necessarily mean that they're not a bad group, because sometimes people have the money to pay marketing and sometimes people want to get a bigger reach. So that's the way to get it. I haven't paid for marketing for any of these collabs because I don't have that money. So it's this has all been very organic. And this was just something that popped up in it when I was looking for like how to find collaborations, because I know how I do it, but I wanted to offer more. It says use platforms like BookBuzz and Goodreads. I don't know how you would use Goodreads for something like that, but it does say that you can find similar authors who have the themes and target audiences. I don't know what BookBuzz is. I didn't have a chance to look it up. I'm sorry, I don't have that answer for you. But apparently you can do it there too. So if anybody has a chance to look that up and wants to, and let me know, that'll be cool. So like I said, I kind of already went out of sync with this. So Indie Author Central, Stuff Your Fantasy Reads is on Facebook. This is very interesting because I am just learning about this stuff. You have to be invited to this group. This is a new experience for me because the person who leads stuff like this, this is through a few groups, and they're really, really worth it. It's not that they're like weird, but they have such a big reach that they can't do these things on their own. So you have to find somebody who is a member and be like, hey, can you invite me into this group? And then, it gets awkward, but they're always like, yeah, sure, I'll invite you in. I've had to do this 3 times. But they have really, 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 really big events. So it is worth it to feel a little embarrassed, at least for me, because I think I'm always awkward. Zoe Bob is another one that I had to be invited to. And they do cross promotional working group. They are romance. Technically, all of my readers are calling my book a romantasy. I'm not going to fight them with that. I did not market it that way, but if they want to call it that, I will embrace that because um, it doesn't really affect me either way, but it does make it a little bit more marketable in a different way. So this is Indie Author Central. They actually have all of their Stuff Your Kindle e-reader events planned out for the entire year. So you can sign up for these. Not everybody is like this. These guys are really organized. They have a killer system. I do pay them $5 just one time. Actually, it was a $5 membership fee. So that's really where I put my money for this group when I was doing this low burn. So it wasn't a huge amount of money, but I was already in other Stuff Your Kindle events with them before, and I had joined up with them before this one. And then Indie Reads, like I said, you'll see my name up here. I just trying to get a home page without my face. But this is their home page, and they have all of these different things. If you can hear my cat, he's ready to eat again. Uh, he's forgotten that there's dry food in his bowl. So there's all different kinds of really, really great groups out there. Once I found people who I felt like I could trust, I really started diving into these groups a little bit more because they had sort of like those people's stamp of approval. Um, and then yeah, I showed you all of those and I spoke a little sooner. So I don't actually really ever have to pitch. Nobody really pitches a collaboration, but that's the wording. Um, that seemed to be right. Really, it's just asking people. I have like four groups of authors who are all fantasy, romantasy, indie authors, who come together and do collabs. Somebody will go into the group and they'll be like, "Hey, I want to do this kind of post. Who's involved?" And then everybody raises their hand who's involved, or they say me, you know, and those people join the group. If I can't for that collaboration because either it doesn't fit or in my schedule or maybe it's not really right for me, no harm no foul. But when you're making a collab or you're asking people to do a collab, providing everything you can in the most pointed way makes it so much less stressful. um, Basically giving the captions, even if you're just starting, say, I will make the captions, I will get the tags, I will break the groups up, I will design the post. And then people can do, some people like to do it towards their aesthetic, which I totally get and they should. So they will change it up. And it's okay if they do, because you'll still be connected through all of the tags. That is really, really where I have found it's been so easy. And I have been thankful for people for doing that whole thing. I don't do it a ton, but I have done it. And let's see if this one worked. I was thinking. Oh, this is the group. It's just really called SKU or SYK Collab. So that's actually not what I thought it was going to be. Those are just different collaborative groups that I'm in, um, that do that schedule collabs, you know, most days, or at least twice or three times a week. So they're always going on. It's not something that is scarce. It's not something that you can't find people to do with you. I would just recommend doing it after you found a couple people who you actually jive with and um, you know, have some kind of connection with. Giveaways is another thing that you can do. I've done the big giveaways. I've done giveaways. I'm part of a couple right now, but I'm not on they're not on my main profile, again, just basically because people and it's not bad. They invite me to do collaborations, and I just didn't know it was going to happen, and I already have stuff planned. It, but with the giveaway, oh, this happened. This is new. Okay. I just started sending stuff out to people, and this must have just happened because she posted it. That's so this giveaway is actually on my homepage, but she is celebrating 1 year. And then these are all of the authors who are involved in this. Somebody actually took the time. This is somebody's PR, PA, her publishing assistant, and her. They created this giveaway. They created a form. They said, this is exactly, these are the rules, which the rules are like how to enter. Bam, give me your tag. That's all of them. And then they did collect, yeah, they did collect our covers, and they put this all together. So this is where it's a little bit different than a collaboration, just sort of talking about things. This person is hosting the giveaway. Usually a giveaway this size is usually done by probably 2 to 5 people I've seen. Um, so, I mean, this is a lot of stuff in to take care of. Usually they are not this big, but they can be. So here is the Stuff Your E-Reader event for Indie Reads. This was another one for the Stuff Your Kindle event. So there's lots of things. I wanted to show you a smaller giveaway, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to find it right now because the links are not taking me to the linking. You don't remember? Oh, nope, that's not it either. I will send an example of the rules since I can't find them right now. But I'll send you an example set of rules just so, oh my God. All right. So those are for groups. For singular ones, I just had my birthday in June, and Andrea and I were trying to figure out how to do a giveaway, but a giveaway with something different. And I'm sorry, it's already 7:52. I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to ask questions. Or I'm going to let you guys ask questions if you have any. So this is my giveaway. I wanted to do something a little bit different. I didn't want to follow train. I don't at this point, I get probably 6 to 10 to 15 followers a day, depending on what's out there. So I don't, that's not really the point. A lot of people do that so they can gain followers. It's just not what I need to do anymore. So I feel weird saying that. But I said, look at the story, start. And then every single person who wanted to be a part of it shared this to their stories. They commented a line to an entire story, and it was really fun and weird and strange. The story was, and I have the actual of me reading it. So basically, I see. I don't understand that. Okay. I think I was just stressed out. So basically, it was just me reading the captions that everybody followed through. They kept the story going through the comments. So it was really crazy. And I think at one point everything blew up and then somebody got strangled. So it was a really fun story though. I did talk about promoting live events. I will be able to, that's just, again, they're different posts. This is what I did this is our live event that Christine and I did. Vanessa Zion is a newly agented author. She is actually mostly indie, and she's got an agent for other things like audio. So this is one of Christine's posts promoting it. Again, we are collaborating, and it is just sort of letting people know. And we do it for free. Like, we don't market these. So that is why I really kind of push stuff because to engage with people, because they'll help you push that out. So I did talk about supporting each other mutually, continuous engagement, and involving your partners. Success, always just please keep looking at your numbers. I know analytics probably seem really boring, but that's actually how you can tell if something you're doing is working right. And I would suggest at least examining them for 2 weeks before you try to change path. Like I said, some people say 30 days. I got that little blue check because I wanted to see if it worked or not, or if it did anything. For me, it did nothing. I ended the subscription, but for some reason, Instagram still has that little blue check on my thing. So now I get to call somebody. But it did nothing. It didn't elevate. It didn't lower. It just did nothing. So sorry again. Questions?
I will add that I think one of the biggest things, no matter what format you're like, or what platform you're on, is the engagement. It really does make a difference if you go out there and like talk back to the people or go like and engage in their post as well. You'll get a lot of response from that.
Thank you, too.
Yeah.
If you guys don't have any questions today and you think of something later, you're welcome to email me or reach out. I feel like I talked way too much today, so I do apologize about that. I do offer a free consultation for evaluating your social media or getting your goals in line. Next month, or at the end of this month, Amy Ayers is coming. She actually is neurodivergent, and she has built her whole platform on neurodivergence. So she's gonna help neurodiverge help other people figure out when they're neurodivergent. I am. Also, and how to work with social media like that, and how sort of to help your brain understand what's good and what's bad. Not bad, but maybe it's not right for you. That's it. Thank you so much. Again, I'm sorry I talked so long.
It was helpful. Thank you.
Oh,
Very
good.
helpful. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, good. Good.
See, a lot to think about.
Yes, it is a lot also. I would always suggest starting off small because it can get very overwhelming. Like I said, I don't even know how to organize everything that's happening in the last month, so I'm trying to learn. It's a new learning experience for me. So because there's a lot of stuff getting thrown at me, and it's not maliciously. It's just like, thank you for wanting to have me be part of your social media experience. I'm not sure how to maneuver around it yet.
Now
Um,
it's time to get the time to do this. It's a lot, takes a lot of time.
it does. I will suggest that you can start off doing liking things 5 minutes a day. You can like a lot of stuff in 5 minutes. But engaging probably 10 to 15 minutes a day. And even if it's 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon, 5 minutes at night, at least that's still 15 minutes. So you start to um, get that rhythm down. And that really is what I did at first, because I didn't want to be on Instagram. I didn't want to be anywhere. I just knew I needed to have a platform if I was going to be doing this indie publishing stuff. So, and for the first few weeks, I only posted twice a week. So I was still just dipping my toes in and getting used to it. Um, Thank you so much, everybody. I'm gonna send this out probably. I like to say Friday, but usually it's the Monday after at this point. But I will try to send this out on Friday, and it'll be in the newsletter. If you don't have my newsletter, feel free to reach out to me. However you found me, and I can give you the link, or I can give it to you right now if anybody really wants it. But I feel like everybody I know here has found me through Anchors or on Instagram. So All right. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, just reach out to me if you have any questions, want to set up a consultation call, or aren't on the newsletter yet. I can get you up there. So I hope you guys have a nice week and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.